At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Lynnell Willingham.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. This is Sunday Morning Sports with the youngest in charge, Lynnell Willingham, taking you up to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Number to get at me on the talk in text line, 310-840-4910. 310-840-4910. You can tweet at me as well. Same handle on each and every social media platform. It is at NELL_BTP. Appreciate you all being here this morning. A lot to get to per usual. We got to send our condolences out to our pal, Josh Graham, who is all out of sorts after last night's double overtime thriller in the NHL Stanley Cup Finals. The Vegas Golden Knights take a 2-1 series lead after their 5-4 victory yesterday over the Canes. And I know there are a lot of hockey fans out there in the world that are pretty distraught about what happened last night. Our pal Josh Graham sent a text message to our Westwood One Sports group chat saying, Westwood One fam, keep me in your prayers. I am not well. So everybody say a prayer, especially on a Sunday morning, for our guy Josh Graham. We'll talk a little bit more about the Stanley Cup Finals a little bit later on in the show. For those of you that are hockey lovers, last night was one of those feathers in your cap, so to speak, to say, you see, this is why everybody should be locked in, not just during the regular season when it comes to the Stanley Cup playoffs, but the Stanley Cup Finals as well. Just as good. Mitch Marner, take a bow, a hat trick in the Stanley Cup Finals. I don't know how many times it's happened throughout the course of history, but it definitely felt like a pretty damn big deal. What we saw last night from the Las Vegas Golden Knights. As a Capitals fan, I can't stand both of those damn teams, right? As a Capitals fan, I hate Carolina. They always bounce us in the postseason. And then Vegas, when we won the Stanley Cup Finals back in, what was it, 18, that's who we beat. So I'm hate watching to the extreme, but we got to give our condolences to our pal Josh Graham as his Carolina Hurricanes down 2-1 after a double overtime thriller last night against the Las Vegas Golden Knights. Maybe we'll hear from Josh a little bit later on in the program. I got to hear from my guy because I want to make sure he's okay. I also want to hear from Eagles and Patriots fans throughout the course of this morning. We're going to talk a lot about the National Football League, including two of the big-time trades that went down last week. I want to start with the trade that shook up the landscape of the AFC and the NFC. The Patriots and Eagles, we had known for a little while that a A.J. Brown deal was going to be on the horizon. But this is where I come up here and say, okay, Carlos, what'd you tell me last night? I got to fall on the sword. Here I go. Ah!
Slice.
Blood, guts, gore. This is me falling on the sword. I've told you all offseason that I did not feel like this deal was actually going to go down. I never felt like, despite Miss Diana in the whole situation with her and Mike Vrabel, I never had supreme confidence. That this deal was ultimately going to go through. So when the news comes across the ticker the other day that the Philadelphia Eagles have indeed pulled the trigger on a A.J. Brown deal, I was a little bit surprised. I'll be honest. I was very surprised. And I want to look at this first through the lens of the New England Patriots. Now, the Eagles traded away A.J. Brown to the aforementioned Patriots for a 2028 first-round pick and a 2027 fifth-round pick. So this is a deal that obviously got the first-round compensation that Philly was looking for, but as we'll discuss a little bit later, I feel like they could have got a little bit more. Looking at it through the lens of the New England Patriots, despite this trade for A.J. Brown, despite the New England Patriots pulling the trigger on this deal for A.J. Brown, I don't believe they're amongst the contenders within the AFC still. When I look at the AFC playoff picture, when I look at the potential Super Bowl teams within the conference, I don't believe that New England is one of the heavy hitters within the conference. I can give you 7 teams right now on paper, in no particular order, by the way, that I would take over the New England Patriots right now. The Denver Broncos, first and foremost. You look at the move that they made this offseason, going out and acquiring Jalen Waddle. This is a team that was really a Bo Nix fluke ankle injury away from being in the Super Bowl, probably. Like, if Bo Nix is healthy going into the AFC Championship game, we're not talking about the Patriots as a contender because we know what it is and what it ain't with that group. But I would take Denver over the New England Patriots with A.J. Brown. I would take the Kansas City Chiefs over the New England Patriots with A.J. Brown. When it comes to Kansas City, we know what the problem is for the Chiefs. Everybody knows what plagued that group last year. And I was going to say last postseason, but shocker, they didn't make the postseason. You got to have Patty Mahomes healthy, right? Once 15 is upright, you have a shot against just about anybody within the sport. But their pass rush is what I'm most excited about this year when it comes to the Kansas City Chiefs. They drafted Peter Woods out of Clemson. They have Chris Jones obviously coming back. They have George Karlaftis coming back. They drafted designated pass rusher out of Oklahoma and R. Mason Thomas. He's somebody that I expect to get after the quarterback for that group. So I expect them to be right amongst the top teams within this conference. I think Patrick Mahomes is going to have a massive chip on his shoulder. And we know their big free agent acquisition, going out and getting Kenneth Walker. I know what the receiver core looks like. That's what everyone's going to say about the Kansas City Chiefs. Oh, Lynnell, who is Pat Mahomes throwing the football to? When you have a running game like I expect Kenneth Walker to provide for Kansas City, you don't really need household names at the wide receiver spot. When I look at Kansas City and I think about what Kenneth Walker can provide for that group, Pat Mahomes, throughout the course of his career, has never had an easy button. I think Kenneth Walker provides an easy button for Pat Mahomes and this Kansas City Chiefs offense, without a shadow of a doubt. So I think Kansas City, clearly, better than New England. The Houston Texans, this is a Super Bowl caliber defense. If they could have gotten just average quarterback play out of C.J. Stroud, they probably would have advanced past New England, right? Remember how that divisional round game went in Foxborough. Turnover after turnover. Drake May played well in that game, by the way, but the Houston Texans, it feels like, shot themselves in the foot throughout that contest. Houston is a team that I would take over the New England Patriots. The Cincinnati Bengals, we have talked about them several times throughout the course of this offseason in terms of their revamped front seven. Boye Mafe, Jonathan Allen, Dexter Lawrence. That group has gotten a hell of a lot better since the season ended. Offensively, you're healthy. Joe Burrow's right. Jamar Chase is right. T. Higgins is right. I expect the Cincinnati Bengals to be back within that championship conversation of the AFC coming up in 2026. I fully expect them to be back within that conversation. And if they're not, things will get very interesting in terms of Cincinnati. But 4 teams right off the rip I just gave you that I think are better than the New England Patriots. And when it comes to the Patriots, there is one big problem that I have with this group. When it comes to New England, I think there is a clear Achilles heel that they have. Their offensive line in the postseason, as we saw, was kind of a group that struggled, right? They bring in Elijah Vera Tucker. They bring in James Hudson. I don't know what's going to happen up front, who their starting 5 is going to be. I don't. Jarrett Wilson, their rookie center, last year out of Georgia, is now a year older. Will Campbell, who they drafted early to be their franchise left tackle, is now a year older. The offense to me for New England isn't the problem. The problem for the Patriots, my big question is, outside of Milton Williams, who is going to be responsible for getting after the passer? Are we expecting that the duo off the edge of Harold Landry and Draymond Jones, are we expecting that to be enough in a conference that has Pat Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen? Is that going to be enough? I know what they have in the secondary. I love that group. Carlton Davis, Gonzo, Kevin Byard, Marcus Jones, Craig Woodson going into year number 2. Love that group in the back end. That's a formidable group. If you can't impact the quarterback, though, on a consistent basis, I don't care if you got the Legion of Boom within your back end. It is going to be difficult to get stops, and more importantly, to get after the quarterback. That's the problem with New England. Are they going to be able to get after the quarterback? The other piece of it is this when it comes to, the Patriots. The other piece of it is this. You're now playing a first-place schedule. And if you look at the first month of the season for New England, their season, guys, talk about the Patriots, their season may be determined within the first month. 3 out of their first 4 are on the road. At Seattle to start, home for Pittsburgh in week 2, then you're at Jacksonville, then you're at Buffalo. Your first month is against 4 postseason teams. So right away, right, for a team that's been scrutinized for not having a super difficult schedule a year ago, right off the rip, they are going to be battle tested. Right off the rip, we're going to find out just how real this group is. 110%. 110%. Carlos, when you look at New England within the landscape of this conference, am I exaggerating their demise here?
Maybe slightly. If they were anywhere else, I would agree with you. But because I think the Bills have been usurped by the Patriots with this one move, I was with you. Before A.J. Brown, I'm like, the Patriots are going to be, whatever. They're going to miss the playoffs. Now I think they're a fringe playoff team. They possibly might be able to win the division because they did exactly what the Bills did in terms of acquiring a receiver. But the Bills got DJ Moore, he's all right. The Patriots got A.J. Brown, who might be one of the 10 best receivers in the league. So you give me the Patriots with A.J. Brown. I mean, if they can work out some of the protection issues with Drake May, I think the demise might be greatly exaggerated by a bit, but I don't necessarily means that this makes them one of the best teams in the AFC. Like, it's still a loaded conference. I think the Patriots they did a little bit well to hair of the dog, ease themselves off that Super Bowl hangover a little bit.
So I'm glad you mentioned and used the word contender, because that's the other thing here. Not only do I think they're not a Super Bowl contender, I don't believe they're a team that ultimately punches their ticket to the big dance. I don't think they're a team that ultimately makes the postseason. And I know I'm going to be met with a lot of flack when I say this, but I look at the New England Patriots. If it goes horribly, guys, what does that mean? That means being hit by the injury bug, something they were able to overcome and not really have to, didn't really have to deal with a season ago. Drake May regressing, the defense regressing. If it goes worst case scenario, I can see this team finishing in third place in the division. Y'all know how I feel about the Jets. Seriously. I know what some of y'all are going to say. The Jets, get this guy off the airwaves. He knows nothing. Look, I'll say it until I'm blue in the face. I thought the Jets had one of the best off seasons of any team in the National Football League. And now that they have an adult at the quarterback position in Geno Smith, who knows how good the Jets can be this year? And I'm not saying that to just say, oh, who knows how good they'll be. No, like, seriously. Everybody has counted that group out, talking about the New York Jets. And rightfully so, right? This is a group that over the course of my childhood, over the course of my adult life, for lack of a better phrase, haven't been worth a damn. So I get it if people, are saying same old Jets, same old Jets. I just look at the mental makeup of some of the dudes that they were able to bring in this offseason. You may not look at Geno Smith as a top 10 quarterback, but I guarantee you he's a top 15 leader at the quarterback position in this sport. I guarantee you he's somebody that garners the respect of folks within the locker room. As far as Geno, the quarterback, goes from a X's and O standpoint, throw last year out of the window when it comes to Geno Smith. That year that he had in Vegas, everything was awful, right? From Pete Carroll to the leadership to the offensive line to the coaching. There's no quarterback that would have been able to have success in that environment last year in Vegas with the Raiders. When I look at the Jets, 44 years of veteran leadership is what they added by way of Minkah Fitzpatrick, Demario Davis, David Onyemata, Geno Smith, right? The hope is that veteran experience can guide this roster kind of through their next phase of this rebuild. Because last year, it went so bad last year in Florham Park that people were saying, well, maybe, just maybe, Aaron Glenn is ultimately going to be one and done with the New York Jets. That's how bad it ultimately got a season ago. So when you go out and acquire the adults in the room, right, the way that they did via Geno, Demario Davis, Minkah, David Onyemata, you give yourself a better chance at being competitive. Because I think the standard within that building, when you had so many youngins, it wasn't consistent. The messaging was not consistent. And I think Aaron Glenn is a first-time head coach going into it with that amount of youth, going into it with that lack of veteran leadership, you saw the results. But the bottom line is the Jets, the Bills, hell, even the Dolphins, everybody's got a shot, to me, within the landscape of the AFC East, because I think the team that won the division last year, the New England Patriots, despite them adding A.J. Brown, I do not view them as a legitimate title contender within the landscape of the AFC East. Or excuse me, the landscape of the AFC. I just don't. Now, is there anything that New England can do to kind of change my mind here? Is there anything that New England can do to make me look at them differently? Adding a premier pass rusher. Maybe that's it. I feel like that's the big hole. That's the big hole to me for New England, is their pass rush. And if you can't get after the quarterback and the conference has got Lamar, Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen, Burrow, how can I expect you to have success? So I don't know. Patriots fans out there, if you're in the Massachusetts area, and I feel like you Patriots fans are scattered all across the damn globe. If you're a Patriots fan out there, you're probably thinking, geez, this guy hates us. It's not that I hate you. I think you were severely overrated during the 2025 season. So you're kind of dealing with that consequence. The other piece is this. I told you all yesterday that I wanted to take a look at the ESPN Football Power Index. One of the only things that the big four-letter network is good for is their advanced analytics. I give them credit for that. When it comes to ESPN and their FPI ranking for the 2026 season, a group like the New England Patriots getting some love? Kinda. Patriots coming in ranked 14th via the Football Power Index. So when it comes to the AFC, they have Buffalo ahead of them, Baltimore ahead of them, the Chargers ahead of them, the Chiefs ahead of them, the Bengals ahead of them, and the Texans ahead of them. So they're, the seventh best team right now in the AFC according to the ESPN Football Power Index. I feel like as the season progresses and as we watch this group in action, the first month of the season, like I said, is going to determine what happens with the New England Patriots as they're on the road in 3 out of the first 4 weeks. That was one of the big-time trades that shook the landscape of the National Football League earlier this week. A.J. Brown officially dealt from Philadelphia to New England. I don't think it puts New England in that upper echelon of the conference still. How does the deal impact the Philadelphia Eagles, and are they still a contender within the landscape of the NFC? We'll have that conversation next here on Westwood One Sports.
The University of Texas has won the Women's College World Series, sweeping Texas Tech in the Championship Series. It's the Longhorns' second title in program history, having now won back-to-back years. Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will be in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Lynnell Willingham.
Sunday morning sports continues with the youngest in charge. Lynnell Willingham taking you up to 11 a.m. Eastern time. You can hit me up on social media, same handle on each and every social media platform. It is at NELL_BTP. We will get into tomorrow's pivotal Game 3 matchup in the NBA Finals coming up a little bit later on in the show. Yesterday, we talked all things NBA Finals. That was super duper fun. Our pal Chris Myles of NBA TV ultimately stopped by the program. We'll talk a lot about the National Football League coming up here before we get back into the NBA. Two trades that rocked the NFL world this past week. Aaron Donald getting traded to the Los Angeles Rams. We'll touch on, not Aaron Donald, Myles Garrett, being traded to the Los Angeles Rams. We'll talk about that a little bit later on in the program. And then the deal that we started off the show with, A.J. Brown, now a member of the New England Patriots. I don't think that move puts the Patriots within the upper echelon of the AFC. I also think on the flip side for the Philadelphia Eagles, they got worse in the short term. I never thought this deal was going to happen because I simply looked at Philadelphia and went, well, damn, why would they just make themselves worse for no reason? And some people are going to say, for no reason, did you not see the chemistry between one Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown last season? It's something that, Eagles fans and folks within that organization felt like they couldn't move forward with. And I totally get that. But the bottom line is, in the short term, Philadelphia has gotten significantly worse. This is a team that last year, no matter really which way you slice it, they got worse as an offense. They did not look like the group that we saw in 2024. They didn't. They absolutely didn't. They looked like a shell of themselves, and the big reason was the offense. In 2025, Philadelphia offensively took a major step back in a statistical category, one statistical category in particular, the run game. Their run game during their Super Bowl runs have been amongst the best in the NFL. From a yards per game standpoint, from an attempts per game standpoint, last year, it simply wasn't that. Philadelphia was 18th in the NFL in terms of rushing yards per game during the 2025 season. The year prior, in which they punched their ticket to the Super Bowl, right? They were the number 2 rushing offense in the NFL. They went from 116 yards rushing per game to 184 yards rushing per game, or vice versa. So a steep drop-off, a steep decline in the rushing production. You now take A.J. Brown out of the fold in Philadelphia, and to me, the pass game now is going to take a significant step back. I believe in Devontae Smith as a legitimate number 1 wide receiver. Former Heisman Trophy winner. He is one of the more underrated players in the sport. But when I look at the supporting cast, the number 2 wide receiver this year is going to be Dontavion Wicks. 24 years of age, young cat that hasn't really, come into his own as a player because he's been playing in a crowded Green Bay receiver room. Does he come to Philadelphia and have instant success? I don't buy it. Last year, Dontavion Wicks had 30 catches for a whopping 332 yards. This is one of the more unproven receiver cores in all of the NFL. And when you look at this through the lens of Jalen Hurts, this is where the big issue comes to me, right? One, I think with this A.J. Brown deal, the Eagles clearly, right, get worse in the short term. But when you think about what 2026 is going to be for Philadelphia, this is a Jalen Hurts evaluation year. Talking about the 2026 season. Jalen Hurts, without a shadow of a doubt, is going to be under the microscope in 2026. To strip him of his best weapon during the most important year of his career, I think is very telling. Why is this year so important, Lynnell? Well, Jalen Hurts' cap hit is set at $31.9 million, the largest it's been in his career. Philadelphia, next year, at the end of the year, have the option to potentially move on from Jalen Hurts. Or excuse me, after the 27 season, rather, have the opportunity to move on from Jalen Hurts. These next 2 seasons, and really next year in particular, because I don't think he gets the opportunity to be the guy in 27 if he doesn't play well this year. It's an audition for him. He's got to prove that he wasn't the problem. They got rid of the guy that's supposed to be the locker room cancer in A.J. Brown. The question is, will the quarterback be able to sustain success without A.J. Brown? Because I look at this receiving core, like I said, Devontae Smith is great. Former Heisman Trophy winner, one of the more underrated dudes in the entire sport. But outside of that, this Eagles receiving core is totally unproven. 30 catches last year for Dontavion Wicks. 30 catches. That's supposed to be your number 2. Mekhi Lemon, first rounder, sure. Totally unproven commodity. Hollywood Brown hasn't been able to stay healthy throughout the course of his career. You see what I'm saying here? You kind of pick up what I'm putting down. The Eagles, to me, in a year that's super important for Jalen Hurts, they have stripped him of his number 1 weapon. How do they expect him to have success? That's my question. I fully expect Jalen Hurts to take a step back next year. I fully expect it. The question is for Philadelphia, how do they stack up in the NFC? I think they've got the widest variance of any team in the National Football League, talking about Philly. I could see the Eagles being a team that, wins 14 games and is number one in the NFC. I could also see the Eagles as a 7-win team that ultimately misses the playoffs. I think their variance is that wide from a success standpoint, man. I genuinely feel that way. Here's the thing. On the defensive side of the football, from a roster construction standpoint, I don't think you can name me 7 better rosters in the NFL than Philadelphia. I look at what the defense is on all 3 levels, adding Jonathan Grenard, having Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis coming back, Nolan Smith coming back. You got Zach Bond. You brought in Tariq Woolen. I mean, I love everything about what Philadelphia is defensively. Love that. The question is going to come offensively. Now, they've made a pretty significant switch to their offensive scheme, bringing in Sean Mannion to be their next offensive coordinator. I think that is a move that may pay dividends, because I think anytime you run a Shanahan-style scheme, you're putting yourself in a better position to have success. It's a super quarterback-friendly scheme. And when you think about the offensive line and the running game that exists in Philadelphia, and the running back, rather, in Saquon Barkley, this scheme, tailor-made for him to have a bounce-back year, tailor-made for him to have success. The big question is going to be Jalen Hurts. And like I continue to say, and I'll repeat it until I'm blue in the face, I don't see him having success. I don't see him having success without A.J. Brown. I think Eagle fans out there, it's one of those things, the old saying is you don't know what you have until it's gone, right? You don't know what you have until it's gone. That is how I think the Eagles are going to feel about A.J. Brown, man. You can be, happy all you want that, the headache, the distraction is finally gone. But if you start losing, and if the production of the quarterback takes a significant dip, I will then have to raise the question of, hey, Philadelphia fans, was the move worth it ultimately? That's the question here. Will the move ultimately be worth it? For Philly, I think no. Here's the other piece of this. They acquired a 2028 draft pick, a 2028 first-round pick. Why couldn't you get a first-round pick in next year's loaded 2027 draft? That's my question. Is Philadelphia playing chess and we're playing checkers or what? Because like I said, maybe they went after the 2028 pick because that's when they can get off of Jalen Hurts, right? Going into the 2028 season, Jalen Hurts has a cap hit of $47.5 million, but he's got only a dead cap hit of $54 million that can be stretched over 2 years if they choose to move on. If he does not play well in 2026, I fully expect Jalen Hurts to be on the hot seat in terms of being Philadelphia's starter. For those of you out there that are in, greater Pennsylvania that are still rubbing the crust out of your eyes, let me repeat that for you. I think the Eagles got significantly worse dealing A.J. Brown to the Patriots. It's the bottom line. Outside of Devontae Smith, this is one of the more unproven receiving cores in the NFL. This year's super pivotal for Jalen Hurts. Will they be able to overcome not having their number one wide receiver? Will Jalen Hurts be able to function and produce at the same level without A.J. Brown? I don't believe so. I love their defense. I think that's a top 5 unit on the other side of the ball. But they have the widest variance of results out of anybody in the NFL. I can see them winning 6 games and firing Nick Sirianni. I could also see them winning 14 games and punching their ticket to the Super Bowl. I think the roster, 1 through 53, is that good. The questions lie on the offensive side of the football. And the biggest question is this for Philadelphia. We can talk about the supporting cast all we want for the Eagles. The big question is this. Will they get back to their bread and butter in terms of running the football consistently, in terms of running the football with routine success? That is the biggest difference in last year's Eagles and the Eagles team that made it to the Super Bowl. That Super Bowl year, as I told you all, they were the number 2 rushing offense in the NFL, 184 yards per contest. Last year, they fell all the way to 18th. If they can't run the football, if they can't have balance, if they're going to be, heavily dependent on Jalen Hurts, you can kiss the playoff hopes of the Philadelphia Eagles goodbye. 310-840-4910 is the number. I want to open up the phones on this. We talked about the big trade that shook the NFL world. 2 big trades, rather, that shook the NFL world this week. Myles Garrett getting dealt to the LA Rams, and then A.J. Brown, now a member of the Philadelphia Eagles. I want to take your calls on this. Are the Patriots a top 4 team? Are the Patriots a contender within the landscape of the AFC after the A.J. Brown deal? And are the Eagles contenders in the NFC after moving on from one A.J. Brown? 310-840-4910. We'll take your calls on that. Plus, we'll get into Mr. Unlimited hanging it up. That's next.
Wow, whoa. The Knicks are up 2-0. New York stole 2 games in San Antonio. The next 2 are in the Garden with a chance to sweep. Game 3 of the NBA Finals is tomorrow night. Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Lynnell Willingham.
Sunday morning sports continues with the youngest in charge. I know Willingham will get you up to 11 a.m. Eastern time. Taking your calls at 310-840-4910. Patriots and Eagles finally putting together the A.J. Brown deal that sends the disgruntled Eagles wide receiver to Foxborough to play for his childhood team. A.J. Brown was super giddy this week when talking to the media. It was kind of weird to me, if I'm being honest, just the way that, he was so open about his desire to play for New England and his fandom as a kid growing up. You never really hear players, talk about stuff like that, but it was cool, I guess. Cool and weird. Is that allowed? Cool and weird to see A.J. Brown show that level of vulnerability and transparency. The question is this, though, at 310-840-4910. I don't believe the Patriots are a playoff team in 2026. Despite this move to trade for A.J. Brown, I think their schedule is really difficult. And I think last year what you saw was a team that benefited from a last-place schedule. Just the reality of it. That's what, the Patriots benefited from, a last-place schedule. This year, 3 out of their first 4 games on the road, 4 out of their first 4 games against postseason contenders from 2025, playoff teams from 2025. So for that reason, I expect them to take a little bit of a step back. I got 7 teams that I would take over the Patriots in the landscape of the AFC. Give me Denver. Give me Kansas City, give me Houston, give me Cincinnati, give me Buffalo, give me Baltimore, give me Pittsburgh. 7 teams that I would take over the Patriots, and I may even take the Jaguars over the Patriots as well. It's just the way that I look at it. Am I asleep at the wheel when it comes to the Patriots? Am I underestimating what the Patriots will be in 2026? 310-840-4910 is the number. Do you view New England as a legitimate contender within the landscape of the AFC? And when I say contender, I mean Super Bowl contender. You don't make it to the Super Bowl, and then we talk about you as a playoff team the next year. Are the Patriots Super Bowl contenders in the AFC after this A.J. Brown deal? 310-840-4910. On the flip side for Philadelphia, on the flip side for the Eagles, I think they got worse in the short term, but I think their roster is a legitimate top 5 group in the NFL when you think about what they have on the defensive side of the football. I believe the Eagles have the widest variance of any team in football. I can see them winning 6 games and firing the coach. I can see them winning 14 games and being the NFC representative in the Super Bowl. After this A.J. Brown deal, are the Eagles legitimate contenders within the NFC? 310-840-4910. Steve is in New Jersey, kicking things off for us. What's going on, Steve?
Hey, what's going on, man? I got a couple quick points to make, and then, I'll throw it back to you and then just listen. 2 years ago, the Browns had the easiest schedule in the league, and they won 5 games, right? The Patriots destroyed Houston in the playoffs, and Houston is a pretender, right? The second thing I'm going to say is, you know what? They are a Super Bowl contender. I don't think they get there, and I am a big-time biased Patriots fan. I think they'll get, deep in the playoffs, because they have a much improved line. We finally got a receiver. We haven't drafted a good one. And I'm a Patriot fan. We haven't drafted a good one since Deion Branch in 2005.
I think Kyle Williams will end up turning into a player. But here's my thing with the Patriots, man. You lost Kalevion Chason. Where's the proven edge rusher on this group? Where's the proven pass rusher on this group?
We don't have one. I'll tell you, we
that's
don't
the
have
problem.
one. We needed one.
And in this conference, look, I know you have Christian Gonzalez. That's great. I know you have Carlton Davis. That's great. In this conference, if you can't get after the quarterback, I don't trust your defense.
You know what? It's a fair point, right? It's a fair point. But what I would say is, if you have good secondary coverage, right, it makes up for a lot of it.
For sure.
The bottom line is they scored the second most amount of points last year, and, their receiving core was not that great. I mean, Diggs was okay, but he's obviously lost a step. So, and then lastly, I think the Rams are way overpaid in that deal. You give 2 number ones and verse up? Come on, man, that is just way too much.
I mean, you're getting the best player of
Myles
the sport.
Garrett.
He's arguably the best player
amazing,
of the sport.
But, man, that is... Yeah. He's a game. I would have done it if I was the Pats, but that's besides the point. But hey, have a great Sunday.
Hey,
drink
appreciate you as always, man.
I'll be at Pool Avenue drinking drinks in no time. So have a great
well, there we
man.
go, brother. 310-840-4910 is the number. So he's bullish on the Patriots in terms of the landscape of the AFC. I just can't get on board with it. I can't, man. And I know what everyone keeps talking about. Did you see us last year? Did you see what we did the season ago? You did it last year playing on nobody's schedule, and then you had the nerve to bring up the Browns. The Browns won 5 games with the easiest schedule because their roster was totally void of talent. I'm not saying the Patriots don't have talent. I just don't see them being a postseason team. 310-840-4910. Eagles and Patriots, are they contenders within the landscape of the AFC and the NFC? Ramon is in Indy wanting to chime in. What's going on? Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. How you doing? Man, y'all out there in that beautiful West Coast, man. I tell you, I visit all the time, boy. When I was younger, I should have stayed my butt out there, man. Y'all got it made out there. But I tell you,
hey, Ramon, I wish I was in the West. Man, I'm in Washington D.C., brother. I don't know what you are.
Oh, okay.
I'm in Washington D.C.,
man. Oh, okay. No problem. You're correct. I think when we look at the history of the team that loses the Super Bowl, despite Philadelphia, they don't get back. So it's a rough road for the loser of the Super Bowl. They don't get back. So I agree with you on that. That's history, except for Philadelphia. Losing to Kansas City and then making it back and then winning. That's generally an anomaly. Of course, the Patriots run when they had with Brady. We'll throw that way up in somewhere else. Generally, when you lose, you just don't make it back. So I don't see them doing it. I think Drake made them are gonna have a struggle. I think Baltimore is going to recover. I think Henderson's going to count for at least 12, 14, 15 sacks. That's going to count for 2, 3, 4 more wins. Okay, and turnovers. I think the Chargers is better than them. I think Harbaugh that first
I'd
year.
even name the Chargers as one of the 7
I
teams.
know, that's why I brought them up. Right, I think the Chargers are better. Okay, I think they're better. He talking about they blew Houston out. That was C.J. Stroud and an announcement. I think he was injured a lot of the season.
Man. Yeah.
And I think he was injured a lot of the season. They've gotten better, and I can guarantee you that probably won't happen again. Also, they still got to deal with the Buffalo in their division, which they always tend to. Buffalo had a little bit, but Josh Allen still generally has their number. And I think Miami and the Jets are going to eke out wins against them each split with them this season coming through. It's going to be difficult for them.
I don't think that division. I don't think that division. And we got to let you go because we're up against it. I don't think that division is as bad as people are giving it credit for. Is what I would say. I don't know about Miami, but I am pretty bullish on the New York Jets. Not bullish as in a playoff team, but bullish as in they can be pretty frisky and ruin the season for a couple of teams, man. We're going to keep things on the National Football League. The A.J. Brown deal shook the NFL landscape. The Myles Garrett deal to the L.A. Rams shocked the NFL world. I'll give you my reaction to that mega deal next here on Westwood One Sports with the youngest in charge, Lynnell Willingham.
This is Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will be in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Lynnell Willingham.
Party continues here on Sunday Morning Sports with the youngest in charge. Lynnell Willingham will get you up to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Talking text line wide open for you at 310-840-4910. You can tweet at me. It is at NELL_BCP, same handle on each and every social media platform. Taking your calls on whether or not you think the Patriots and Eagles are contenders within their respective conference after the big deal that was made earlier this week. A deal that we knew was coming, guys, right? Like, I know the reaction to it for some of you is probably a little bit different than me because I was in the minority throughout this offseason. Despite what Miss Diana said, and I just get a kick out of saying that, despite the rumors and the reports.
You really do.
Despite the reports out of Foxborough that we've gotten for months that the Patriots were going to trade for A.J. Brown, not because I didn't think Miss Diana wasn't credible. I just didn't believe it, guys. I didn't think the Eagles would just give away arguably a top 7 to 10 wide receiver in the National Football League. They ultimately pulled the trigger on the deal earlier this week. They get a 2028 first rounder. He goes to New England. I have major questions about New England moving forward, and the schedule has a big part to do with it. First 4 games of the season are against playoff teams from last year. 3 out of those first 4 games are on the road. So they're going to have to put their big boy pants on. Good thing Mike Vrabel's got no distractions to worry about when it comes to the 2026 season. I'm sure he'll be focused and dialed in, right? Yeah, my ass. I fully expect him to step down before the season starts, if I'm being honest. But that is just me. I don't buy the Patriots, though, as contenders in the AFC. I can give you 7 teams that I think are better. Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Cincinnati, Houston, Kansas City, and Denver. Easily. 7 teams that I think are clearly better than the Patriots. Am I tripping? Do you think New England is a legitimate contender in the AFC post A.J. Brown? And for Philadelphia, I think they have the widest variance of any team in the NFL. Like I've been saying, I can see them winning 6 games and firing their coach. I can see them winning 14 games and going to the Super Bowl. Where do you place the Eagles in the hierarchy of the NFC after they move off of A.J. Brown? 310-840-4910 is the number. We'll get to the other big-time trade that happened in the NFL a little bit later on. Dave is in Tampa wanting to chime in. Dave, what's going on?
Man, let me be an absolute stinker and play the devil's advocate.
Okay.
With the Patriots, cupcake schedule last year, I'll consider them a fluke. Now, you have looked at their first 4 games. Tell me, do you believe there's a chance they could start off 1-3?
I think it's a chance they can start off 0-4.
Yeah, well, that's the point that I was getting at. Then all of a sudden, I don't want to make this all about Vrabel, but then all of a sudden, he's going to be the dominant thing with the Patriots.
I agree, man. So who do you root for, Dave?
As far as I'm a Buccaneers fan.
what do you make?
I'm rooting. Hey, I'm rooting for the worst. I want to see Vrabel, because look at his character. He was the coach of the year, and let's just look at character. Let's go with character.
I dig it, brother. I appreciate the call as always. Look, I want to go further into this schedule. Do we want to do this? Do we want to go through the entire schedule here real quick? Do we have the time to do that? Would that be?
We're going to play the win-loss, win-win, loss-loss, win-win-win game?
We're going to play the game with the Patriots. Because I'm just looking, and like, it would not surprise me. And Carlos is probably thinking, this guy is just an absolute jackass. But I'm serious. If they started off 0-4, I wouldn't be surprised. At Seattle to start the season stuff. Then you're home for Pittsburgh. We'll see how much better. Yeah, there we go. This is how you know you're picking games on the schedule in the month of June when you hear this music. But no, in reality, man, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. I say they start 1-3. Then they've got a stretch of Vegas, Jets, Bears, Dolphins. I can see them going 2-2 in that stretch. Right? Then at that point, you're what? 3-5 going into a stretch of Green Bay, Detroit, the LA Chargers, the Buffalo Bills, the Vikings, the Chiefs, Denver. Come on, guys.
Yeah, they may
This
win
murderer's row.
one game out. They may win one game out of that last stretch you said.
Dude.
And believe it or not, might be beating the Bills, but they lose to everybody else.
I'm telling you, man, it is murderer's row for New England post-bye or going into their bye. This is probably, I don't know if any NFL team has a more difficult stretch than this. Green Bay, Detroit, at the Chargers, home for Buffalo, home for Minnesota, then at Kansas City. That, what?
Yikes.
7-game, 6-game stretch? That 6-game stretch is probably going to determine their season, if we're being realistic here. And I don't mean to put it all on that 6-game stretch, but like, come on. This is why this start to the season is so important. What if they go 0-10 in this difficult stretch of Seattle, Pittsburgh, Jacksonville, Buffalo? I mean, I don't know, man.
And by the way, they'll have the AFC Championship rematch the second to last week of the schedule with the Broncos going to the Foxborough. You don't think Bo Nix and them boys are going to be out for blood/revenge?
That's my thing here. Like, no matter how you slice it, when it comes to the New England Patriots, I think the schedule is too difficult. Am I tripping? 310-840-4910 is the number. Hawk is in Florida wanting to check in. Hawk, what's going on, brother? Good morning. We got you, Hawk?
Yo.
What up, man?
Hey, man, yeah, I agree with you 100%. New England, what a schedule. They got no chance to be competitive. I agree with you 100%.
I think it's brutal, man. Do you look at them as a playoff team, or do you think they even missed the postseason?
Totally missed the postseason. Last year was just one of those flash-in-the-pan things. Look at that schedule. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. I agree with you, brother. I appreciate the call, man. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Look, I'm not trying to poo-poo on this group. I'm not trying to make it as if they're the worst team in the AFC, but like, every time I go through this schedule, every time I read this schedule, it kind of is what it is, man. It's murderer's row when it comes to the New England Patriots. 310-840-4910. Do you think the Patriots are a legitimate contender in the landscape of the AFC coming up here in 2026? Don't forget about the Eagles either. We're also talking about Philadelphia, a team that I think has the widest variance in the NFL in terms of team success. Is New England a legit contender in the AFC, and then is Philadelphia a legit contender in the NFC? 310-840-4910. Todd is in Tampa wanting to check in. Good morning, Todd.
Yes, sir. Let's get down to business. Before I hit on that, I want to say, Knicks, you're up 2-0. Keep playing defense and put as Michael Jordan would, put your step on their throat and put them away here. Okay, don't give him no chance to get up. Don't give him no chance to get. Michael would close you out in 6 and didn't care. So step on their throat and put them away here. Okay, that's the deal here. And when we go back to the Big Apple in New York and play some defense, everyone's got to play lights out defense and crash the board. That's what we got to do here. So way to go, Knicks, going in there taking 2, but that don't mean nothing right now. Let's go in there and win this game Monday night. Let me say this about the NFL. Okay, now my Buccaneers. Okay, I want to say I'm happy that they traded A.J. Brown. Whether they throw the ball to A.J. Brown or not, defensive coordinators are scared to daylights because A.J. Brown could get deep. So I'm glad he's out of the NFC. My guy, Reuben Bain, had we not gotten Reuben Bain, okay, I would have said, and I've been a Bucs fan since inception, 1976, I would have said we got no chance. But Reuben Bain is the next Warren Sapp. And Reuben Bain has electrified the whole Tampa Bay area just because he fell to us at that 15, which it was I can't believe. I believe everybody else from one down made a mistake, but I'm happy that you did, and we're stoked about Reuben Bain. So I agree that the Eagles are going to suffer, and don't underestimate Mike Vrabel as a defensive coordinating coach.
I'll give you that.
Don't underestimate him there. Okay, so so that's another thing right there. And Bo Nix, anybody falls on his ankle, Denver's done. Okay, so there's a whole other deal there. But
Todd is fired up and ready to go per usual. Todd, you're the man, brother. I appreciate you. 310-840-4910. Everybody should be as fired up as Todd is on a Sunday morning, man. He mentioned the Bucs. And it gets me looking. It's an easy way for us to segue to look at the NFC and get to the other half of this question, which is Philadelphia a contender within their conference? Their schedule, also pretty difficult, just based off of the divisions that the NFC East has to go up against. The start to the season for Philadelphia, the first month, home for Washington in the opener, then they're at Tennessee, at Chicago in consecutive weeks. You've got a home date against the LA Rams in week 4. Then weeks 5, 6, 7, and 8, it's home for Jacksonville, home for Carolina, home for Dallas. Then you're at Washington. I look at their schedule in terms of Philly, simply based off of their defense. I think they'll be in every football game. I think they're legitimate on that side of the football. I think they're a legit top 10 unit in terms of defense. The big question, like I said, for Philly, can they get the ground game back going? Can they be a formidable group in terms of running the football? If they can, I think that's the best avenue to kind of alleviate the loss of one A.J. Brown, man. They're putting a lot on Jalen Hurts' shoulders, to me, by stripping him of A.J. Brown. Because like I said, Dontavion Wicks, not a proven thing. Mekhi Lemon, not a proven thing. And now, this is the other interesting part. Since A.J. Brown has gotten to town, what has Devontae Smith been the beneficiary of? Single coverage. Now that he's the number one, now that he's going to get doubled, will we see Smitty look like the legit number one wide receiver that we all think that he is? That's my big question. 310-840-4910 is the number. Are the Eagles and Patriots legit Super Bowl contenders in their respective conferences after the A.J. Brown deal? 310-840-4910 is the number. We got some comments in the YouTube chat on the Philadelphia Eagles. He said, putting a lot on Jalen. We gave him all the talent in the world for below average play. The brother's taking you to 2 Super Bowls, dog. That any slander of Jalen Hurts, I'm the only guy in the country allowed to slander Jalen Hurts. You know how I feel about Jalen Hurts. I call him a baby Birkin bag, right? He's he's a man purse. He's a satchel. He's a glorified accessory, right? Jalen Hurts has been carried to all of his success in the National Football League. I nicknamed him the Passenger. Is the proper nickname for him, Carlos. It's the Passenger.
He's a merce.
He's a merce. You know what I'm saying? And look, a guy in the YouTube chat, Twiz, you're not totally off by saying, yeah, we supported him and surrounded him with talent. And, he's giving us average play. He said in 2022 he wasn't carried Well, where did the Eagles go in 2022? Was that the Super Bowl year? Did they go to the bowl in 22? They did. They went in 22 and 24. Or did we get a rematch? I'm totally blanking. But I do know this. I do know this about Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts is at best a top 15 quarterback in the league, right? I don't look at Jalen Hurts as a quarterback that makes others around him better. I think he's a guy that needs to be insulated and propped up to have success. Chandler is in South Carolina wanting to check in. Good morning, Chandler.
Morning. Yeah, so going back to that Patriots schedule, I just don't think that there's a world that they start 0-4.
Are you?
I can't.
Are you saying that? Are you saying that just based off of what they did a season ago, or are you saying the opponents?
No, I mean, I've followed the Patriots for 20 years. Obviously I'm a fan, but going back to it, it's like, yeah, their success, and everybody had all these schedule woes, and they still went to the Super Bowl, which obviously we saw how that went. I think that Drake May wasn't ready for the moment, and I think we've only gotten better. So to think that you said that we're going to go potentially 0-4 to start the season's a blasphemous.
Right. So let me say this. I said that because you're playing 4 teams that made the playoffs last year. Can you do me a favor? What was the Patriots' record last year against teams with a winning record? How many wins did the Patriots have against teams with a winning record?
What was their record? I mean, go ahead, since you have it on the top of your head.
They struggled against teams with winning records. Down the stretch, you saw this group lose to Buffalo. That Week 15 game against Buffalo, to me, was the determining factor for me on the New England Patriots. And when I officially hopped off the wagon, so to speak.
In terms of that game, obviously we were up 3 scores. I think it was, and that was a tough game. Josh Allen came storming back. There were some pivotal calls on phantom offense or defensive pass interference flags. Totally, there's great reason for concern in blowing a lead like that. I think that as the time goes on and as Drake May gets more experience, I think that to think that Mike Vrabel's not going to have the boys fired up after losing in the Super Bowl, getting there, impressive feat within itself. I think we were a little bit ahead of our time. I think that we were playing with Vegas money, but I don't care if they're playing teams that made the playoffs. A.J. Brown made us a top 5 offense in football. That's you could look at the facts here. And everybody had everything that they wanted to say about Drake May, who should have been the MVP. And I mean, it doesn't matter who it was against. He still killed top 10 defenses. And then everything changes because it's a classic. It's classic what happens. Eagles are in the same boat. People move the needle because it's, say, the Patriots, because it's the Eagles. They move the needle to find a way to be negative in what we're looking at. So, for example, the Falcons, when we played them last year, they were obviously close game. They were still a great team, and they were a top 10 defense
great team?
at the time.
I got to let you go, pal. I appreciate the call. Anytime you're referring to the 2025 Falcons as a great team, is that Reposado or Blanco? There's no way in hell. 310-840-4910. Sam in Washington. Save us, Sam.
Hey, how's it going?
Going swell, pal. How are you?
I'm doing well. I got a hot take for you.
Oh, God. What you got, man?
I got Patriots missing the playoffs this year.
That's not a hot take, pal. It's not a hot take. It's the right take to have, man. I'm on board. Let me know why.
Okay, I think Drake May is a fraud, and he got his way to the Super Bowl just by literally being the luckiest man alive. How about that?
I'll give you that. It was one of the worst postseason runs we've ever seen out of a Super Bowl quarterback. I appreciate the call, as always, my friend. 310-840-4910 is the number. Are the Eagles and Patriots post-A.J. Brown deal, are they legitimate contenders in their respective conference? 310-840-4910 is the number. The more and more I think about the Patriots, I didn't even talk about the poor postseason run that Drake May had. I mean, that hadn't even been a part of our conversation here yet. But like that group, they're just fraudulent to me, man. I just don't buy them as a legitimate contender within the landscape of the conference. And the more and more that I look at this schedule, guys, makes it even more difficult to believe. 310-840-4910 is the number. We'll put a bow on the conversation on Philadelphia and New England coming up on the other side of the break as we run through a couple more of your calls. Also want to get into the quarterback competition in Cleveland with the Browns. The Myles Garrett deal obviously bolstered the defensive front of the LA Rams. It also provided clarity, in my opinion, in Cleveland. I'll expound upon that next. This is Westwood One Sports.
The cover star of Madden NFL 27 has been released, and it's Chicago Bears quarterback Caleb Williams. Yo, fans in the Windy City, is this a good thing? The third-year quarterback is on Madden Curse Watch. Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will be in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Lynnell Willingham.
You heard the big voice guy. He is not lying. This is Lynnell Willingham, youngest in charge, taking you up to 11 a.m. Eastern time. Once again, just because I feel like it's been, an hour and a half since we've started the show. We're halfway down here on another installment of Sunday Morning Sports right here on Westwood One Sports. I want to give my condolences to my pal Josh Graham. You can hear Josh. Not actually, but actually. My guy Josh Graham, huge Carolina Hurricanes fan. And the boys went down last night in dramatic fashion. I actually feel bad. Josh hit our Westwood One Sports mass text, and everybody was probably out and about last night, so the responses were few and far between. But I know when he sent this text, I know how much he meant that he was hurting after what happened last night. Vegas Golden Knights, 5-4 winners in double OT. Ladies and gents, I'll say this about hockey, right? If you were watching this game last night, it's super boring to start. And then you watch Vegas in the second period rattle off 4 straight goals, and they have a total stranglehold on this game. And then in that third period, what you saw from Carolina going on their own run, rattling off 4 straight goals. I'm not a massive hockey fan. I'll never pretend to be some massive hockey stan. I'm too real for that, right? Last night, if you're a hockey fan, if you're someone that's trying to show others why your sport is so great, last night was the game to show people. If I was going to show someone a hockey game, I'd show someone last night in Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Finals, man. A game of runs. Ultimately, it was Vegas that came out on top. They now have a 2-1 series lead. 310-840-4910 is the number. Are the Eagles and Patriots legitimate contenders in the landscape of the AFC and the NFC? As far as New England goes, if you're just now joining us, I know what they did last year. I know how great Drake May was. I get it. I totally get it. But when it comes to the Patriots, a lot of my skepticism lies in the schedule. I believe the roster's talented. I believe they got better this offseason. Adding Elijah Vera Tucker, adding A.J. Brown. This group got better. I'm not going to deny that at all. My issue with the New England Patriots, one, this schedule is murderous. And then two, was last year a fluke? How good are the Patriots is my question. I think last year, based off of what you saw in the regular season and then what you saw in the postseason, it looked like two different teams. More importantly, it looked like two different quarterbacks. The quarterback that Drake May was during the regular season compared to the quarterback that Drake May was during the postseason was night and day. You saw two different versions of Drake May throughout the postseason. It was the worst statistical drop-off we've ever seen in terms of regular season to postseason when it comes to a legitimate MVP candidate like Drake May. For those that need a reminder, under 60% completion percentage in the playoffs, 6 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, sacked a whopping 21 times, ladies and gentlemen. So when I talk about the Patriots being fraudulent, when I talk about the Patriots not being a postseason team in 2026, look at the playoffs, guys. Look at the way that group looked throughout the postseason, despite them making it to the Super Bowl. The other piece, as I've mentioned several times here throughout the start of this program, this isn't some cupcake last place schedule that you're playing in 2026. This is Murderer's Row, where the first month of the season, you're going up against postseason teams in Seattle, Pittsburgh, Jacksonville, and Buffalo. How you going to act, New England? That's the question. 310-840-4910. On the flip side for Philadelphia, I think it's very clear. Defensively, I don't think there's anybody in the world, right? Defensively, I don't think there's anybody in the world that can argue with what they are on that side of the football. That is a legitimate top 5 group, no matter how you ultimately slice it. It's a top 5 unit. On the offensive side of the football, though, there is one Achilles heel that I have questions about. One, you got rid of your best pass-catching target, puts a lot more pressure on Devontae Smith and the rest of this unproven receiving core. Dontavion Wicks, you traded for him, and that was supposed to be the big move, right? A guy that had 30 receptions last year. That's who's going to be your number 2? I doubt it, right? Hollywood Brown, off injured. Can't rely on him. Mekhi Lemon, first-round pick, great, but he's a rookie. Totally unproven. For Philadelphia to get back to being a legitimate bully in the NFC, they've got to get back to their bread and butter. Running the damn football. I keep giving you all the stat. 2024, when they punched their ticket to the big dance and they won the big dance, Philadelphia ran for 184 yards per game. Came out like gangbusters, punching folks in the mouth week in and week out. Last year, the 2025 Philadelphia Eagles went from second in the NFL in rushing yards per game all the way to 18th. 118 yards per contest. If the Eagles can't get back on track with their rushing attack, and it's going to look different this year as Sean Mannion is the one pushing the buttons offensively, if they can't get back to their ground attack in 2026, I don't think the Eagles will be a contender within the landscape of the NFC. The only problem is I expect them to get back to business in terms of running the football. I think this zone running scheme, this McVay-Shanahan-style running scheme is going to benefit arguably the best back in the NFL, talking about Saquon Barkley. 310-840-4910 is the number. Billy is in Toronto wanting to chime in. Billy, what's going on, pal?
How you doing, buddy? Listen, very simply put, the New England Patriots are a fraud. They had the easiest schedule last year. They caught every break in the book. The Denver quarterback gets hurt to send them to the Super Bowl. Look, nice story, New England. Yeah, you'll be okay, but you ain't getting back to the Super Bowl. Not a chance in the world. The good teams in this division, and we all are not division, but that conference, who we all know they are. They're all gonna be better this year. They're gonna be a lot better. We've had this conversation before. A nice try, New England, but you're a fraud. As for Philadelphia, I'm gonna throw you a sleeper.
Yeah.
And I like. I told you I'm a gambler, and I'll circle things going back last year and stuff, and I'll right beside it. Watch out for this. And I'm gonna tell you, and not because they got the new coach, but I remember the New York Giants went 3 or 4 games where they were destroying people, and then the quarterback got hurt, the receiver got hurt, everybody got hurt. I'm telling you, watch out for the Giants in that division. I think they can win it and go on a run. I think
Billy, you're tripping, brother. The Giants, to me, are total. They're fighting from the inside. They don't like each other. I don't buy the Giants at all. And
don't listen to him, Billy. You're on the right track.
Malik Neighbors' knee is fried. Somebody get him some help.
I love him. I love the Giants.
You and Carlos, man. Birds of a feather flocking together. That's all. Look, that's the last thing we needed is to give Carlos any sort of confidence.
Billy, get access to the studio line, please. Yeah, no more caller line for him.
That's what I was about to say, man. I don't know how or why he decided to put a battery in our guy Carlos's back. We haven't heard from the Giants or heard about the Giants, it feels like, in a while. Because Carlos
they
hadn't
just
had
got
much.
Odell Beckham.
Yeah, but, like, that's the thing. It's moves like that. Like, how am I supposed to take a team serious in the year of our Lord signing Odell Beckham?
He's just a depth piece. Or a veteran presence for the wide receivers. You're not actually expecting him to contribute on the field at all.
You mean he's a Malik Neighbors caper?
He's a Malik Neighbors booster, right? He's like, hey, this is how you be a pro, fellow LSU Tiger. Go Tigers. All right, go Giants. Billy's on something.
I think the Giants are a total farce and a total joke for the 2026 season.
I smell a show bet coming once we get to training camp.
Oh, I smell a show bet as well. I wish I smelled crispy bacon. That's what I wish I smelled.
Oh, I can go for some bacon right now. Oh.
All right. See,
that's the Homer Simpson.
Yeah. All right, pal. That's a Giant fan for you. This is exactly why we don't. This is why we don't put batteries in the Giants fans' backs for reasons like that. Kenny is in Columbia, wanting to check in. Kenny, what's going on?
Not much. How's it going, man?
Going swell, brother. Going swell.
As a Patriots fan, I definitely feel
See,
like
hey, Kenny, can I stop you? I'm glad that you introduced yourself as the Patriots fan that you are. Go ahead and pop it, man. Don't let me trash on your team.
No. It's not trash, and I agree a bit. I feel like we were ahead of schedule, but I think we take a step back this year. Defensively, I feel like we just lost kind of some depth pieces along the D-line.
Kalivion Chason, man, he's a commander now. You know, I'm happy about that.
Yeah, my boy Tonga, the D-tackle. And, I feel like we got better offensively, but as far as A.J. Brown, it's just like he said all the right things. I want to be here. This was one of my favorite teams growing up. But how long is it going to be before he complains about getting the ball and having his fits on the sideline, which I think will kill the team as the season goes along?
Yeah. So this is my big question, Kenny. And if you're a real Patriots fan, you know where I'm coming from with this. My big question for your boys, are they going to be able to rush the passer, man? That's my big question. Will they be able to rush the quarterback?
I don't think we'll be able to get that much of a pass rush.
That's the struggle, man. And look, the other piece is this. Is Gonzo going to show up to mandatory minicamp?
I hope so. We need him.
Yeah, we need him. No, exactly. I appreciate the call as always, man. 310-840-4910. We actually have some breaking NFL news that we're going to get to coming up on the other side of the break. So make sure you keep it locked right here on Westwood One Sports with the youngest in Charles, Lynnell, Willingham. Joel is in Calgary wanting to chat in. Hello, pal.
How's it going? Good morning.
Good morning, man. How are you?
I'm good. Just quick, I'll make it easy, in my opinion, with the Patriots. If they were to somehow sneak into the playoffs, I guess that wouldn't surprise me. If they don't make the playoffs, that really wouldn't surprise me. And if that's where my mind's at, there's no way I can consider them a true contender by any means. That's simple to me. As far as the Eagles go, the defense is there. We all know that. That side of the ball is fine. If Jalen Hurts can find some chemistry with Devontae Smith as a number one, they got a lot of work to do, don't get me wrong. I know Devontae Smith's somewhere around 4 yards after the catch, and he's definitely benefited from single coverage in different schemes in which they could use A.J. Brown almost to target Devontae. If he can work on his route running, which is pretty good. I mean, the guy's a great receiver. He doesn't.
I think Devontae can play. That my problem ain't Devontae. My thing is this.
It's not. I agree.
When Devontae gets double covered, now that he's the number one, will he be able to overcome it? Is I guess my question. But I believe in him as well as you do.
And they know what they know. Like I said, he doesn't drop the ball. He's great at running routes. If he could create a bit more separation, he's not going to necessarily be getting hit by the double team as much as quickly, because he's definitely not as big and strong as A.J. Brown was. But then what the one caller said about it's easy to push the needle and talk negative about because it's the Patriots, the Eagles. I'm a Packers fan. I know we need to do a better job stopping the run. Every good team, there's
I'll be
something they
honest.
can do. They could.
Packers are screwed.
What's up?
The Packers are screwed.
Oh, I agree.
The Packers are screwed.
I'm a modest fan. We got some work to do. Don't get me wrong. But that being said, any decent team, you can still pick something that they need to be better at. It's not pushing buttons or pushing the needle, because the teams themselves know that. They know what they need to work on. They know what needs to get them over the hump. It's not mean to pick on teams or little things that they need to do better, because that's what they're doing in training camp right now. They're working on those things they know they need to do better at.
For sure. For sure. Appreciate the call as always, my friend. This show is about to get very, very interesting coming up in the next 5 or 6 minutes. Brandon Ayuk, who yesterday, I guess he was at Jaden Daniels' house yesterday. He posted a selfie shirtless in a Washington Commanders hat, and then he posted an Instagram story saying the gig is up in a Commanders hat holding a Commanders football. He spoke on Instagram this morning, ladies and gents. We'll hear from Brandon Ayuk next.
Wow, wow, whoa. The Knicks are up 2-0. New York stole 2 games in San Antonio. The next 2 are in the Garden with a chance to sweep. Game 3 of the NBA Finals is tomorrow night. Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will be in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Lynnell Willingham.
I'm over here playing Brandon Ayuk translation. It's a fun game that we're trying to let him over here trying to
clean
play.
up Brandon Ayuk translation.
This is Westwood One Sports with the youngest in charge, Lynnell Willingham. We're gonna have a guest stop by the program coming up, top of the 10 o'clock hour. Our guy Matt Verderam, from Sports Illustrated. Gonna Carlos is probably like, damn it, I even typed it out for you. Matt Verderam.
Sure did.
Matt Verderam going to join us coming up in about 15 minutes. We had his thoughts on all the NFL news that we've talked about, including the NFL news that is on its way. Brandon Ayuk and our guy Carlos with a K is working hard to try and parse through BA's words, man. I'm now calling him BA. I'm on board. Bring your ass to Washington, pal. Carlos, we're going to play it when Carlos has got it ready, and then we're going to translate it because I think I know exactly what Brandon Ayuk is saying. Some of the analogies that he used, it was very clear what he was saying. He used the analogy of it's like when you're a kid out there playing basketball and you don't get picked, but you brought the ball, so you got to play. He's basically saying, San Fran, you know you don't want me. You know I don't want you, but you don't want me to play for anybody else. That's essentially what I got from Brandon Ayuk's Instagram rant that he went on. And I'm assuming he's on the West Coast. I'm assuming he's out in Cali. It's 6 o'clock in the damn morning, bro. It's 6 o'clock in the morning. He's on IG in chrome heart glasses giving this encrypted message. Like, I'm totally stunned. I'm currently commenting on the post and trying to put a translation for everybody. Hopefully he pins my tweet to the top of the page. That is my goal right now. Or pins my comment, rather, to the top of the post. I am totally baffled by all of this, and I think the entire situation with Ayuk in the Niners is bizarre, to say the least. But I'm not one of those guys that are going to come on here and slander Ayuk. I actually am pretty understanding of the situation because I feel like he feels like the team lied to him. See, what we don't know, we only know San Fran's side of the story. We don't know Brandon Ayuk's side of the story. And what we do, and I think it's actually pretty effed up, if I'm being honest. I almost swore. It's pretty messed up. What we do with an athlete, right, when we don't understand them, what do we do, Carl? What does the media do, Carlos? Now when people are saying that he's got mental...
Immediately.
kill him. He's got mental health issues, so on and so forth. Ain't nothing wrong with Brandon Ayuk's ass. Brandon Ayuk just ain't going like that. That's the bottom line. He's not going like cheese, is the best way that I could put it. Brandon Ayuk told the San Francisco 49ers to kiss his ass. Bottom line. What we got to get to the bottom of is why he told them to kiss his ass. I think it's this. Prague Marath is the contract negotiator, the capologist out in San Francisco. He is in charge of handling long-term contract extensions. He is, for lack of a better phrase at times, he can be a jackass. I think there were some things that were said during the contract negotiation that got very contentious, that made the relationship between the two very contentious. I also believe that they promised Brandon Ayuk something that they ultimately did not give him until the 11th hour. Because remember, the news came across our ticker. Andrew Filipponi out in Pittsburgh, who you probably shouldn't trust in terms of reporting. But he reported, and this came true, that there was a deal on the table between Pittsburgh and San Francisco. That was the report, is that there was a deal between Pittsburgh and San Fran. And then at the 11th hour, they call Brandon Ayuk up to the office. He signs the deal, and the rest is history here. People are typing in the chat, CTE, shaking my head. You see what I'm saying? You all are doing it. That's what y'all do. Whenever y'all don't understand the athlete, whenever y'all don't get all the information that you all feel that you deserve, now he's got CTE. Now he's got mental health issues. Now he's a head case. Y'all got to stop with that, man. Mental health is real. You can't just throw mental health accusations on people. Honestly. People, and then someone types in the chat, I make BA's life miserable and keep him on the did not show list. This is my thing. Why do y'all side with the team 99% of the time? Do y'all not look at the history of the San Francisco 49ers? They have beefed with every star they've had. Christian McCaffrey had to hold out. Trent Williams had to hold out until week 1. George Kittle had to hold out until week 1. Bosa had to hold out until week 1. And y'all think that the players are the problem. These were all top-of-the-market dudes that were clearly deserving of being paid, yet San Francisco and Prague Marath's weird ass dragged the whole situation out. George Kittle didn't show up till late camp. Bosa didn't show up till week 1. Trent Williams didn't show up till late training camp. But Brandon Ayuk is the problem. You've seen several contract blunders with San Fran and a reluctance to pay their people, yet you're looking at Brandon Ayuk like he's tripping. I don't know, man. I don't know. It frustrates me because y'all never give the athlete the benefit of the doubt. And the excuse is, oh, they got millions of dollars. What, you supposed to just sacrifice your integrity? You supposed to sacrifice your character because you got millions? If they ain't treating you right, they ain't treating you right. Bottom line. I don't believe Brandon Ayuk is some sort of cancer. I don't believe Brandon Ayuk is some sort of bad apple. Do y'all know Brandon Ayuk's story? This was a JUCO kid, Slim. Brandon Ayuk is a dude that came from JUCO, really got it out the mud, had to grind to get to this spot. Something happened between Ayuk and the Niners with their relationship. He feels like he was lied to. He does. And when he got hurt, everything was fine. Remember, he got paid, the relationship got back on stable footing, and then he got hurt. During his rehab, something happened. During the rehabilitation process, something with the relationship between the two parties happened. I ultimately think Ayuk is still frustrated from how the contract negotiations went, because if you know Prague Marath, you know how Prague gets down. They get grimy in San Francisco. They are super stiff negotiators. And what y'all don't understand if you've never been through a contract negotiation before, imagine your employer looking you in the face and telling you why you don't deserve to be paid. You'd be ready to go upside somebody's damn head. That's what a contract negotiation is in the NFL. I think the relationship is soured. I think Brandon Ayuk has taken it personally, and I think he wants out. And as an athlete, guess what? You don't like it because you can't do it at your job, but he can do it at his. 310-840-4910 is the number. He wants out, and at the end of the day, he's ultimately going to get out. He broke his silence, though, at like 7 a.m. Central Time or West Pacific Time, whatever the hell the time zone is. I'm shocked by it. We're going to let you hear the audio coming up here in the 10 o'clock hour. We had a lot more to get to here in this final hour. We will keep things on the National Football League. Our pal Matt Verderam of Sports Illustrated is going to join us next. We'll get his thoughts on the latest on Brandon Ayuk. We'll get his thoughts on the Myles Garrett trade. We'll also ask him the big question we've been asking you all the whole show here. Patriots and Eagles make the big A.J. Brown deal. Are the two teams contenders in their respective conferences? We'll ask Matt Verderam of Sports Illustrated that next.
This is Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will be in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Lynnell Willingham.
I'm fascinated by everything that's going on here with the whole Brandon Ayuk saga. This is what we do, though, man. This is Westwood One Sports, final hour of power with the youngest in charge, Lynnell Willingham. I'll take you up to 11 a.m. Eastern time. I am I'm staggered by all of this. We're gonna let you hear the audio of Brandon Ayuk coming up here momentarily, but just know that he decided to air some grievances at 7 o'clock in the damn morning. Get the belt, says our guy Denton Day. Look, I told you all what I thought about it, man. This is him telling San Fran to stop BSing. See, what I don't like is whenever we don't hear the athlete side of the story, and Brandon Ayuk has chosen to stay quiet for the most part on his front. When we don't hear the athlete side, we automatically start assuming things. He's being accused of having CTE. He's being accused of being a bad apple. Do we not see the history of San Francisco and Prague Marath and how they've dealt with contracts over the past several years? See Trent Williams, see George Kittle, see Bosa. Those guys got it figured out ultimately. Some took longer than others. See Christian McCaffrey. Those guys got it figured out ultimately. It took longer. You know what I'm saying? You know, for some guys than others. But the bottom line is Prague Marath and company are sticklers when it comes to the negotiating table. And what the casual fan probably doesn't understand is just how contentious some of these NFL contract negotiations get. It is the employer. Put yourself in their shoes. What if your employer straight up came to you and told you every reason why you're not going to get a raise? You would feel some type of way. I think the root of the issues between San Fran and Brandon Ayuk come from the Niners saying something greasy about Brandon Ayuk or his camp during the negotiating process. What I have heard, and you know who we need to call up? We need to call up my guy Bonta Hill. If you're listening tomorrow night on Westwood One Sports Night, I'm going to effort my hardest to get Bonta Hill on from the Bay Area because he is as in tune with this Brandon Ayuk situation as anybody. Brandon Ayuk's story is a guy that's got it out the mud, JUCO product, really had to grind to get to this spot and turned himself into one of the best wide receivers in the sport. San Fran was reluctant to pay him, and I think they disrespected him during the negotiating process, and they may have said something that they couldn't come back from in terms of a relationship. I don't want to keep our guy waiting on the horn any longer, but we will let you hear from Brandon Ayuk coming up momentarily. Right now, we hear from our guy, Matt Verderam of Sports Illustrated, NFL writer for SI. Matt, I don't know if you've gotten the chance to try and translate Brandon Ayuk's video that he put on Instagram, but that situation between him and the Niners, pretty contentious. What have you made of it, and what type of resolution do you see coming from it?
Yeah, I saw the video. the Niners need to just step up and do something at this point. Like, look, if you can trade him, then trade him. You're not getting anything for him. There's not a team in the league that's given anything up for him. Like, trade him for a 7th-round pick in 2028, because that's what you're getting. Yeah. Like, you have at this point lost any ability to trade him. He didn't play at all last year, coming off the torn ACL and the other issues in that knee. He has no intention for playing for them again. Everybody in the world knows this. The Niners have said that he'll never play for them again publicly. Right. So why would anyone trade anything for him? And if you can't get anything for him, then just cut him. It's post June 1 at this point. Like, just move on. So I think at this point, listen. Go ahead.
I was about to say, you've covered the NFL for a long time. You know what this is, Matt. You know why they're not cutting them. This has gotten personal between the two sides. And this is the thing, and I don't know how much you got to hear before we potted you up, but like I'll try to give the athletes the benefit of the doubt, because I know a lot of the times if they choose not to tell their story just doesn't get told because they're not going out and leaking things to Adam Schefter and the reporters the way that the Niners are. Right. The Niners have tried to paint this picture of Brandon Ayuk being this total head case, and like I don't believe that to 110% be true. I want to hear from Brandon Ayuk because I want to know what they said during those negotiations that pissed him off, because that's, to me, what it sounds like, is that Prag Marath, their cap guru, their capologist, that has gotten into it with Trent Williams, that's gotten into it with George Kittle, that's gotten into it with Bosa, McCaffrey. Brandon Ayuk is just a different type of character individual and wasn't going for some of the stuff that they said probably.
Well, and look, the other part of this is, too, okay, they voided – I believe it was $27 million.
Yes, that's the part I forgot, Matt. Thank you for that.
But look, once you do that, you're not salvaging that relationship. Exactly. You're just not. Like, if your boss came to you and was like, hey, man, I'm going to rob you of a third of your salary, you'd be like, yeah, I'm not coming to work anymore. Like, that's just not going to happen. Now, now, look, did Brandon Ayuk do something that set them off? Maybe. But even so, like, look around the NFL. Hey, I'll give you another example. Rasheed Rice is in prison right now.
Matt, he's in prison, brother.
He's in prison.
Yeah.
And the Chiefs are trying to figure out how to rehab his knee from the clink. Like, teams go above and beyond all the time for these guys because, look, they're not regular employees. They are ones of ones all over the league. Like, these guys are not easy to replace. That's why they're in the NFL. They're not serving a coffee. They're not writing an article. Like, they are impossible. They are unicorns to find. And so teams go out of their way. When the Niners that quickly voided $27 million, that relationship was over then. It was done. You're not going to come back from that. And so this has just been dragging on now for well over a year.
So the reason allegedly that they voided the deal was because he was not showing up to the rehab sessions the way that they wanted him to. This is another thing, Matt, that when the media reports it, it makes BA look like he's just a jackass. It could be semantics. It may be that Brandon Ayuk doesn't want to work with San Francisco's training staff. Does he not have every right to do that as a multi-million-dollar athlete that's one of the top 15 to 12 guys at his position? I think that pissed them off. I think the relationship, something to me, I feel like I know, man, because Adam Peters, who is in Washington, the general manager in Washington, had a very contentious negotiation with Terry McLaurin this past summer that ultimately cost the Commanders their season. He comes from that Prag Marath tree. That is the capologist out there in San Fran. He is a hard ass. And you can't negotiate with everybody the same because this is a relationships-based business. I believe they said something that triggered BA personally, and he's now looking at them like, I'm going to give you the finger. You don't respect me as a man. I could be wrong, though. I'm clearly speculating, but just to paint BA out as some psycho, I think is wrong.
Well, I think, too, look, to your point, and you're right, that is why they voided that money. And, listen, there are plenty of guys around the NFL who will tell you, yeah, sure, I have no problem rehabbing with the in-house trainers, but there are other guys who will say, look, I'd rather rehab with my guy. I'd rather rehab with a team number. I mean, that happens all the time. That happens all now. A lot of times when that happens, the team is brought into the fold and it's like, hey, look, it's nothing personal. I just feel comfortable with this guy. Maybe I had a prior injury. I rehab with this guy or this woman. and the team will say, okay, that's fine. Let's just, let us be involved. Let us know what's going on. And whether that happened or not, I think is the ultimate question here. Like if Brandon Ayuk said, I want to work with my own people, and the Niners said, no, you can't do that. If I'm Brandon Ayuk, I don't blame him. It's his body. He's got to feel comfortable with it. Now, if he said, I want to work with these people, the Niners said, cool, no problem. Let us just know what's going on. And then he didn't, then it's more on him. But regardless of how that shook, at this point, it's over. Just move on. I mean, dude, what good is this doing anybody? And you're right, it is about a power play. And at this juncture, just get over it. Like if he goes to somewhere else and he's great, then you have egg on your face. But that's the position you painted yourself in when you took $27 million out of his pocket.
And this is the tough part too. Brandon Ayuk, I did my best, Matt, to try and translate what the hell he was saying, because it was a bunch of nonsense. I don't know what type of mental state the dude is in. I don't even want to make any assumptions. I assume if he's up that early, he probably just finished a workout or something. The guy looks to be in shape, but looks can be deceiving. The one thing he kept saying is you can't dodge the inevitable. You can't run from the belt is what he kept saying to San Francisco via that video. I am assuming that he's saying you can't stop me from going to Washington, where I ultimately want to go. They play the Commanders Week 8 on Monday Night Football. It is going to be an absolute spectacle, because I think he ultimately ends up in Washington at the end of the day. I think Adam Peters knows him as well as anybody.
Yep.
When it comes to how they move forward, talking about San Francisco, is this a situation where, and I know you've kind of given your thoughts saying just get it over with, but put yourselves in their shoes for a second. They don't want to get rid of their commodity for nothing. Is there any benefit at this point of holding out for a trade? Do you think there's anybody? Could they force Washington's hand potentially is what I'm asking.
I mean, here's the thing. Washington's looking at that Instagram post just like the rest of society, right?
Right.
I mean, they're all sitting there. And also, let's just be real. I mean, let's pull the curtain back for a minute. You don't think that Brandon Ayuk and his representation have talked to Washington and understand, hey, if he gets released, he'd really like to go there? Or that Washington hasn't reached out to his agent and said, hey, if he were to become free and become a free agent, we'd have, I mean, this is the NFL. People don't understand free agency. The first wave of it is largely done at the NFL Combine. Like these teams, there's a reason that the second tampering opens up, some guy gets $100 million. Like it happens within 3 minutes of the deadline. Like it is. So look, if I'm the Niners, if I'm in John Lynch's chair, I'm sitting there saying, yeah, I'd love to get something back, but I also know realistically, like I'm not getting. And I would maybe say, look, I've got, let's just say a June 15th deadline. If I don't trade him by then, I'm moving on. And look, it's a rough spot because if you're the 49ers, Kittle's coming off an Achilles tear in the playoffs. Who knows what he's going to look like early in the year if he even plays. You've got Ricky Pearsall, who's a former first-round pick who got shot after getting drafted and had to work his way back from all that. Yeah. And Juwan Jennings is gone now. Like, that receiving room is thin. Like, that is not a room that you're just going to lose Brandon Ayuk's talent and not care. You're going to care.
I know they're relying a lot on Mike Evans, but, like, my thing, and I totally agree with you, man. He hasn't been able to stay healthy throughout the latter stages of his career. So I totally understand where you're coming from with that. I just am amazed. What people, I think, fail to realize a lot, Matt, is how much of a people business the NFL is. And, like, I don't take it lightly that this isn't their first contentious negotiation with a guy. The reason why my eyebrow was raised, Matt, is we've seen this year in and year out with San Francisco. It's every damn year, it feels like. I can't believe they just got the Trent Williams thing figured out. They were about to have to cut him.
Well, and by the way, that wasn't the first time with Trent Williams.
Exactly.
That was, like,
this is the best left tackle in the sport.
Yeah, he's the first ballot Hall of Famer. Look, it's interesting though. Like moving away from the Niners, it's very interesting when you look around the league. There are certain teams that have a reputation for just getting deals done. I'll give you Pittsburgh's an example of that. The Steelers, if they want to keep one of their guys, they just do it. They pay him. Like Herbie got paid immediately. Highsmith years ago got paid. They paid Watt multiple times. They just paid Darnell Washington. Like it's very rare. Very rarely is it contentious in Pittsburgh. It's just not. And then there's a team like Dallas, where with Jerry, the guy's going to end up getting overpaid, but it's going to take 3 months longer than it should have. Like, that's just the history of the Cowboys. They are going to pay their stars. It's going to take for Parsons was the one time that didn't happen, and it's because they got an offer they essentially felt like they couldn't refuse. But they pay their guys. The Niners do have a reputation for, look, a lot of times they end up keeping the player, but it is going to be a 15-round fight. It just is. And that's their style, and you could argue that it's benefited them. They've had a lot of team success, but you could also argue that it alienates guys after a while because it does just wear on you.
It's a fascinating situation, man. We will move on from the Brandon Ayuk saga as our guy Matt of NFL Sports Illustrated joining us right now here on Sunday Morning Sports here on Westwood One Sports. I'm a little flustered here because I'm actively trying to text my guy Bonta Hill out in the Bay Area to see what he thinks of this. Matt Verderam joins us right now here on Sunday Morning Sports. Let's go to the big trades that happened this week in the NFL. I am not a believer in the New England Patriots, Matt, even after the A.J. Brown deal. I look at the way that Drake May played throughout the NFL postseason, and I have some questions about him going into year number 3. I don't think they're amongst the 7 best teams within the conference. Am I crazy?
No. So right after the A.J. Brown trade happened, I sat down for SI and I did a little fun, flash power rankings of the conference. Like, who do I think are the best teams? And I came out with I think Buffalo is probably the safest bet. I don't even know if I think the Bills are quite honestly the absolute best team, but they have a great quarterback and he's not coming off a torn ACL like the one in Kansas City.
Right.
So I had those. Even though the Chiefs, this is what I think of this conference. Even though the Chiefs went 6-11, I had them 2. This was like, well,
so do I.
Mahomes
Yeah.
is right.
Right.
Like if Mahomes is right, they've got Kenneth Walker, and with Spagnuolo, they're going to play defense. So but New England, I had them 3rd, but I almost also had them like 7th. I mean, I think they're right in that mix with Denver and Cincinnati and Houston and Jacksonville and Baltimore, who are all different teams for very different reasons.
Right.
But here's what I would say with New England, that I actually have them outside the playoffs, even though I put them 3rd for this reason. Their schedule this year is brutal. Like
dude.
Last year, that schedule was so advantageous. I actually picked them to make the playoffs last season because I figured, well, they've got to win 9 or 10 games. That's
right.
A lot of who you are. And then this year, you look at it and you go, man, they could be good and go 9-8. Yeah. Like they play the Seahawks on the road, the Bills on the road, the Chiefs on the road. Right? I mean, they believe they play the Chargers on the road. I mean, they have.
Dude, the first month is Murderer's Row. The first month is
they
at
could be
3 out of the first 4 on the right. They could be 0-4. Now, if they go 0-4 now, that's you ain't coming back from that, Matt. But that stretch is brutal.
They could easily be 1-3.
Right. 3 out of the first 4 being on the road. The schedule makers did not help them out at all. And then they got this stretch starting in early November where it's Green Bay, Detroit, the Chargers, Buffalo, Minnesota, Kansas City. So 2 stretches in their schedule where it gets pretty brutal. We're on the same page when it comes to New England. I look at the Eagles, who obviously gave up A.J. Brown. Matt, I think the Eagles have the widest variance of any team in the National Football League. I can very much see them winning 7 games, Sirianni being on the hot seat, getting fired potentially. I can also see them winning 14 games and representing the NFC in the Super Bowl. What do you make of Philadelphia, and how do you expect Jalen Hurts to perform post A.J. Brown here?
So I think you're right in terms of some of the widest variance. I think Baltimore's that team for me, but I think Philadelphia's right in there. And I think Hurts will be good. I don't think he'll be great. The big question with them is, what is Mekhi Lemon right out of the chute? Because they're going to need him to be good. Like, he can't have a year that, frankly, a lot of rookies do have at receiver, where it takes a little while to get going. He's got to learn the offense. I mean, they can't afford that because they have Devonta Smith, and they have nobody else who scares you in the passing game. And so it becomes – look, the one thing that worries me about Philadelphia beyond just losing Brown is Sirianni is a very unique coach in the sense that when they're rolling, he is out in front and he wants all the smoke and he loves that style. But when they start to stumble, he can never pull them out of the slide. Like, they just go off a cliff. And that's happened twice in the time he's been there. And you just wonder with this team, they're not as good defensively as they once were. Like, I normally would say, I don't even think they're going to win that division. But look at that division. Like, I don't know who I was kind of in on the Giants, and then this offseason has been a disaster the last month and a half. Neighbors can't run at a softball game.
Yeah.
Dart and Carter at each other's throats. I don't know if I want to pick them.
Yeah.
But the Commanders, a million questions. The maybe Dallas, but it's Dallas. How do you pick Dallas?
Yeah.
So I think the Eagles are an interesting team. I don't think they can get to the Super Bowl though. I think at best they're the fifth best team in the conference.
It's going to be fascinating, man. I think that defense is why I have, so much confidence in them. Fangio's going to get them going. They added Reek Woolen. I like that group. The Grenard trade, I think, is going to go down as one of the more underrated moves of the entire offseason because I think he's still got juice to rush the passer. But I agree for the most part with your thoughts on Philadelphia. They're another team, though, that the schedule is pretty interesting as well. Looking at the Myles Garrett trade from the lens of the L.A. Rams here, Matt. Clearly a Super Bowl or bust for this group. Does the Garrett deal change your perspective on the Ty Simpson selection?
No, it doesn't from the standpoint that I still feel like they could have used that pick to get somebody to help them, especially almost in a way more so now because they're so all in.
Right.
I mean, I would have I can't remember a team that I looked at and thought to myself, man, that team is more chips every chip. I mean, if you're a poker player, they pushed all their chips to the table and they reached over to the guy next to him and pushed half his chips in. They are so far. And so in that regard, the Ty Simpson move almost makes less sense. But, look, before they traded for Myles Garrett, they were the Super Bowl favorites in every sportsbook in America. They are now even a little more so. They were plus 650 in a lot of books before it. Now they're plus 550. I will say this. In the NFL, it is not a best of 7. It is a best of 60 minutes.
Right.
And you can just have a game where some team outplays you, outcoaches you, a ball bounces your way, whatever, but they are clearly the best team. I mean, on paper, they're the best team. The biggest thing with them is just staying healthy. I mean, Stafford's 38 years old. Right. And Adams is 34 years old. And even Garrett's, and he's in his 30s now. That's the concern. But no, look, I think it was a rare win-win for both teams. I think if you're the Rams, you're absolutely loaded beyond. I mean, they went to the NFC Championship game and added 2 All-Pros to their defense.
Exactly. So
it's crazy. But if they don't win this year, the amount of free agents that they have hitting the books, this is the year. Yeah. This is I mean, you couldn't be more all in for a million different reasons if you're the Rams.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I happen to think, like you said, if they're able to stay healthy, if Stafford can stay upright, I think they'll be fine. Matt Verderam joins us of Sports Illustrated. Looking at it from the Browns standpoint, I said this during the week on the show when the news first broke. I like the return for Cleveland. This is, to me, Andrew Berry once again playing chess and not checkers. Jared Verse is a damn good pass rusher. I don't think trading Myles Garrett changes the trajectory of the team per se. You added first-round draft capital. The one thing that they have to do, Matt, and I don't know where you stand on their quarterback competition, I mean, Deshaun Watson, his skills are on the massage table still, pal. It would be organizational malpractice to me for Cleveland to leave the 26th season not having a concrete answer on what Shedeur Sanders is.
Yes. I was on the radio in Cleveland 2 days ago. And spent 10 minutes basically yelling that if they played Deshaun Watson, they should be contracted. What benefit is there?
Yeah.
What benefit is there? I guess my argument is this: even if he goes out there and he's whatever, the 17th best quarterback in football, which would be a miracle at this point.
Right.
If he's that, what is the end game? What are you going to give him an extension? Who cares? He's gone anyway. Exactly. This season, they're terrible. They need to just play Shedeur Sanders for 17 games, and if Shedeur Sanders is horrendous, fine. Then you're better off anyway long-term because you're getting a top 2, 3, maybe 1 pick, and you can go draft a guy in a quarterback class that everyone around the league thinks is going to be unbelievable. And if he somehow ends up being really good, well, then you've answered your quarterback question.
And you have 2 first-round picks next year with no need.
But sitting there and playing Deshaun Watson
That's crazy.
It's just insane. There's no benefit at all to doing this. I don't even understand why Todd Monken's bothering. I would have just walked up to the podium and been like, yeah, guess what? Shedeur Sanders is our starter. I don't care if he throws 55 interceptions in 3 preseason games. He's our starter. And if he does it in the regular season, fine. Like, he's playing. Because to me, the one thing that would be even worse than all this is if they go into the season and Sanders feels like he can't make a mistake or he's going to get yanked out of the game. Yep. Like, you need to give that kid the confidence. Like, I'm serious. Todd Monk should call him into his office and say, Shedeur, listen, I don't care if you throw 3 picks. I want you to be aggressive. I want you to try to make plays. And you're my guy. I am not pulling you out of the game. Because any quarterback will tell you, if they think that the hook is coming because of a bad pass, they can't play. Nobody can function like that. So I don't know, but I do love the return, and the Browns have positioned themselves well moving forward if they can find the quarterback.
And here's the thing, too. Like last year, I think it was just a ridiculous set of circumstances to try and evaluate a young quarterback under because they were so bad. I'm not trying to – I'm a Commanders fan through and through, so I have no loyalty or allegiance to Cleveland. They've done as good of a job as anybody in terms of creating an infrastructure for a young quarterback to succeed. They've revamped the offensive line. They've revamped the skill group. I happen to think he talked himself into being a 5th-round quarterback. I think there's first-round talent there. The 2 years at Colorado, it's kind of just hard to deny that. It wouldn't shock me if he came out and had success this year. And I know people are thinking, oh, that's the clickbaity thing to say, but damn, he's got weapons. Anybody should be able to succeed in Cleveland on offense, and I can't believe that I'm saying that.
Well, listen, last year, their draft class was as good as anybody's.
Amazing.
I mean, they walked out of that thing with Fannin, who, people don't know who Harold Fannin is because they sucked so bad last year. That guy was fantastic. Like, he 700-plus yards as a rookie. You have Judy, who's the veteran guy. Now, the big question with the Browns are the guys they're bringing in first year because you have Boston and Concepcion. How good are those guys out of the chute? And then Todd Monken, what is he as a head coach, right? I mean, that is the question. He's never been an NFL head coach before. But they, to your point, they brought in Elton Jenkins. They brought in Spencer Fano up front. They should be better in that regard. But the bottom line is, this year for the Browns is all about evaluating young talent. That's it. That's all this is. And if they walk out of this thing with a pretty good handle on that, then you go into next year going, all right, people only look at next year's picks. It's like, okay, not only do we have 2 1s, we've got a future 2, a future 2. You have enough ammunition. You can move up and down the board as you please. So, look, I think Cleveland's in a good spot, but the reality is they've got to nail those picks. For years they had extra picks, and they could never hit on them. They've got to hit on them. If they hit on them, they'll be good in a hurry.
That's the key. Matt, you are awesome, my friend. This is our first time getting to do this thing together. I was just texting my guy, Carlos. You are awesome, my friend. Appreciate you bringing the juice for us here this morning, man.
No problem. Anytime.
That is one of the absolute best, talking all things National Football League. My guy, Matt Verderam of Sports Illustrated. We opened up the conversation talking about the Brandon Ayuk saga in San Francisco. He spoke via Instagram. We'll let you hear that next.
Wow, whoa. The Knicks are up 2-0. New York stole 2 games in San Antonio. The next 2 are in the Garden with a chance to sweep. Game 3 of the NBA Finals is tomorrow night. Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Lynnell Willingham.
Up and Adam, good morning to you and yours. From our family to yours here at Westwood One Sports.
Up and Atom.
You are tapped in to the youngest in charge of Willingham, rocking out with you for about another half hour as we take you up to 11 a.m. Eastern time. Always love spinning around the globe, going coast to coast with you all each and every weekend here on Westwood One Sports. Remember, you can check me out during the week, Monday through Wednesday, 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. Eastern time for Westwood One Sports Night. Super duper excited for tomorrow night's show, where we'll be on immediately following a pivotal game number 3 in the NBA Finals. Can I tell you a little something about the Knicks? I'll do that to wrap up the show. Right now, though, we get to the most highly anticipated audio vault in all of sports talk radio. It is time for Say What?
we thought they were.
We in here. The biggest names in sports step up to the mic.
The guy is drunk.
You have got to be smoking.
The best audio in the world of sports.
As there's a drive in a deep left field by Castellanos, it will be a home run.
Come after me. I don't come with the bullshit.
It's Say What? With Lynnell Willingham and Carlos with a K.
Oh, hello, Lynnell. I feel like it's funny because I've been chiming in all day, but I feel like we haven't actually spoke all day, which is
because you're rude, Carlos. You're rude.
How the hell am I rude?
Because you're a Giants fan. I really realized that I don't give you enough crap for being a Giants fan, and from here on out, that is going to change. Just know.
Well, I don't give you enough crap for being a Maryland Commanders fan. Like, what do you want me to do?
When you said
dirty
Commanders
commies.
Yesterday. When you said it yesterday, I'm not going to lie. I took offense to it. Today, it doesn't hit. What you got?
You could just call us Jersey Giants, and I'll get pretty pissed off too. I probably shouldn't have given you my kryptonite. Let's start off. Say what here with the Chuckster, Charles Barkley, TNT Sports, among other things. Or he's with ESPN. I don't know what the hell they're doing, but inside the NBA is apparently an ESPN vehicle, but it feels like it's a watered down, bastardized version of it. But you still get Chuck being Chuck, which is what we want.
Yeah.
Let's go back to after Game 2 of the Knicks surviving the Spurs late comeback in the fourth quarter. Knicks hold on to get a 2-0 game, 2-0 series lead in these finals. Charles Barkley on the Knicks postseason run right now.
I'm gonna say this. My man David Dennis from ESPN, we were talking. I'm not saying this is the greatest team ever. I'm gonna make that clear.
Well, what are you saying?
If they win these next two games, this is one of the greatest runs in playoff history. I can live with that. Yeah, I mean, it's one of the greatest runs. I mean, you got to give them their props. I mean, it's amazing what they've done. You got to give them their props, and maybe you need to give the Hawks some more props because they're the only team that took them to 7 so far.
The New York Knicks, guys, winners of 13 in a row. Only the 2017 Warriors have rattled off more consecutive wins in the postseason. Their point differential in this postseason, the greatest of all time. Their true shooting percentage this postseason, the greatest of all time. Despite all of that, coming up in about 10 minutes, I'll tell you why the Spurs are going to win Game 3. But I do agree with the Chuckster. This run, out of this world, dude. Out of this world.
The line for that game is Knicks -2.5, by the way, for all you bet.
Really? That means we get free money. Free money is what I call that.
Yeah, I actually took New York -2.5. Let's go to A.J. Brown.
Wow,
as I segue away from that, so I don't have
when
to
you
explain
think
my
you
decision.
know a guy, huh?
A.J. Brown, newly acquired by the New England Patriots. He will be their wide receiver 1, giving Drake May a reliable target that he has not had since entering the league. Stephon Diggs was nice. A.J. Brown is that dude. But he's here for a good time, not a long time. A.J. Brown, on the other hand, now that he's getting acclimated with Patriots culture, which hopefully that doesn't require massage parlors and affairs, on what impresses him most about Drake May, his new quarterback.
Everything, man. I was watching him today. Obviously, I'm learning the plays and, out there with him. He can make any throw. He's very poised. Like today in the meeting, I would say he kind of took over to me. Josh was speaking and he, kind of cut Josh off, not in a rude way, but, he just kind of took over, and it says so much from a young guy, to know what he's talking about, number one, and to lead, and to be the voice of this team. So when I heard that, I was like, wow, that was impressive. Obviously I heard great things about him, but that part alone tells me a lot about him and how much he loves his job and, he studies and everything. So, yeah.
He says all the right things, right? He says all the right things. My question is, if it goes bad in New England, will he throw a fit there too? I don't believe he was throwing a fit because things were going bad. I really think him and Jalen Hurts are beefing. I don't know if it had anything to do with the female or anything like that, but those two were BFFs. It's part of the reason why they traded for him. It's because those dudes have been friends for a long, long time. That relationship, not in a good place currently. We'll see, though, what happens with A.J. Brown in New England. They're not making the playoffs, though. Sorry.
Yeah, they're in the fringe for me. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they make the playoffs. If they do, it's It's either got to be the division. I don't think they could get enough of momentum to win a wild card with how stacked the AL, the AFC is going to be. I almost said AL. I was like, speaking of baseball. All right, last one here.
Go Yanks,
We've been
go.
teasing it for about an hour, so we might as well pay off these bills. And that's Brandon Ayuk, a very cryptic post on Instagram that yours truly cleaned up because FCC don't find us. Here's Brandon Ayuk on. I don't know what the hell he's doing. Here's Brandon Ayuk.
We dealing with, like them kids and they don't get picked for the basketball game at the court. But they the ones that brought the ball. So they like, all right, y'all don't want to pick me? I'm taking my ball. I'm going home.
Can we pause this for a hot second,
Ass
Lee?
boys.
Right here.
Little ass.
So I want to try to break this down. He's saying, y'all all have been out at the park where the kid that brings the ball doesn't get picked and then he wants to go home because you're not going to play with my ball without me. That's his way of saying
That's
to
me.
me. That's you? That was probably me too at one point. That was Ayuk's way of saying, hey, San Francisco, y'all don't want me, but y'all don't want anyone else to have me. Let's continue.
How come
Ass
y'all don't
boys.
want me, man?
Little ass boys. Or like when your kid, he got this one toy, but he don't really know how to use it correctly. So somebody else about to pick it up and play with it. And they're like, oh yeah, this lady. And they're like, wait, hold on, that's my toy.
Can we pause it again?
Ass boy.
Can we pause it again? Everybody's been there. We all got cousins, nieces, nephews. I don't got kids. Not yet. Dog, I remember I had my WWF Titantron, dog. I used to have where they had the metal on the bottom of the feet to where you would press it and the metal would touch the metal and then the music would start playing. My cousin didn't even like wrestling, bro. I'm playing with my wrestlers on the Titantron, or his wrestlers rather, on the Titantron, and I'm showing him how to do the music thing. Now all of a sudden, hey, that's my toy. I want to play with it. That's the Niners saying, hey, that's my Brandon Ayuk. You can't have him, even though we don't want him. Let's continue it, Lee.
Ass boy. Little ass boy. Man, stop running from the belt. The belt coming. You scared. They scared. The truth is, they scared. They know how I get. They gonna say, oh yeah, BA did this, BA did that. BA did, that allegedly. But what they not gonna say is, BA suck at football because they know how I get. And they running from that belt that's on the way. It's inevitable. It's coming. Stop running. Stop being a female dog. Stop being a female dog. Stop being a little cat. And stop running from the belt.
Stop running from the belt because it's coming. Do you know what he means by stop running from the belt? It's coming. If you take a look at the old NFL schedule, the inevitable is going to come in week 6 when the Commanders travel to San Francisco to take on the Niners on Monday Night Football. That's the belt. That's what BA is talking about. Stop being scared. It's inevitable. I'm coming. BA is essentially saying the Niners are scared of what the Commanders will look like with him on the team. And I think he's right. Jaden Daniels, Terry McLaurin, Brandon Ayuk, Chigga Okonkwo, Bill Krosky-Merritt, a top 10 offensive line in football, Adafe Owe, Kaylavon Chason, Leo Chenal, Super Bowl champion. Not shredded up knees like Malik Neighbors. I can't wait till football season, bro. I feel like me and you are going to be so raunchy during the NFL season.
Let's see if you guys can finish not last in the division. And Say What was sponsored by Progressive Commercial Insurance, protecting your business vehicles 24/7. See if you can save at progressivecommercial.com.
That is Carlos with a K. He's great at production. He's great at producing. He can read too. 310-840-49. Allegedly. Yeah, allegedly. But look, real quick, I'm glad you brought that up, Carlos. Shout out to you. What was I saying? Why is he saying allegedly? Because He hasn't gotten the chance to tell his side of the story. Everything San Fran is saying is alleged. Pick up what I'm putting down? Let's do this. We wrap up the show the same way each and every day, each and every weekend by giving you your Cup of Joe to go, that shot in the arm to get you through the rest of the weekend. We'll give you a Cup of Joe to go. Plus, we'll preview real quick massive Game 3 tomorrow night in the NBA Finals next.
Stop running from the belt.
The cover star of Madden NFL 27 has been released, and it's Chicago Bears quarterback Caleb Williams. Yo, fans in the Windy City, is this a good thing? The third-year quarterback is on Madden Curse Watch. Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will be in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Sports presents Lynnell Willingham.
What up? One final segment to go before we hand you off for the weekend. Remember, you can keep the convo rolling on social media at NELL_BTP. Carlos, I said it during the week, and I wish I would have gotten the chance to text this to you to get your reaction. I am officially a Los Washington Dodgers fan. I'm a Los Washington Dodgers fan because my damn Nationals are the best bats in baseball right now. But I can't not show love to Shohei Ohtani and the LA Dodgers. He was once again ridiculous last night, 2 for 2 at the plate, had a homer, batted in 2 runs as well. Dodgers right now atop the NL West at 42-23. They've got a pretty comfortable lead. But the injuries for that group has been tough as their starting pitching has taken a real hit. Tyler Glass now on the 60-day IL with a back injury. Yep. Will Smith is officially day-to-day. Blake Snell's on the 60-day IL. Evan Phillips is on the 60-day IL. Bobby Miller. I mean, literally their entire staff, it feels like, is on the damn 60-day IL. But that hadn't stopped Shohei Ohtani from being a home run hitting homie. Shout out to the Nationals, though. The half-street home run hitting homies. Why do you call them the half-street home run hitting homies, Lynnell? Because our studios at 106.7 The Fan in D.C., which is right across the street from Nats Park, is on Half Street. I'm creative. Hashtag go me.
True.
Shohei's great. I also love the San Antonio Spurs tomorrow night. We talked about it ad nauseum yesterday. If you missed any of that, Carlos has the podcast up for you. If you want to go rewind and hear in great detail why I like San Antonio tomorrow. Short story, or to make it short, every time the Spurs have had their backs against the wall this postseason, they have responded. I expect them to do so once again. Let's now wrap up the show with a cup of Joe to go, your shot in the arm to get you ready for the weekend.
Look. Sales, get on it. By the way, we don't have any sponsors for Cup of Joe to go. I don't know what the hell they're waiting for. You and I like wrestling.
We love it.
I love, I don't like what WWE has become, but I grew up on WWF/WWE. WCW, Monday Night Nitro Wars with Raw, ECW with Paul Heyman. Was over doing shows at the Elk Club, and I'm over here on Broadway setting up the ring. And
are you serious?
No, I used to do like
I did not know that,
ECW
bro.
shows. Yeah, back when they were on the Elk Lodge in Queens Boulevard. So it's a back before they were even in the Hammerstein Ballroom. I was over here.
Okay.
I was on boots on the ground. I was in the streets.
That's a flex, bro.
Watching Vampiro, kick RVD in the chest. But you and I like wrestling. And one of the creative things about wrestling is where you can actually wrestle. Because, yes, there are arenas, and that's the global phenomenon now. But they used to be in the Hammerstein Ballrooms, like smaller theater venues. You used to have them at clubs. Have you ever seen a wrestling match at a library?
No, I've not.
Well, in Northern California, Benicia, California to be exact, there was a sign out there that says, hey, it's about to be loud in here because Lucha Libre. It is a high-action, energy-packed story time that's bringing live wrestling matches to kids across the U.S. in order to promote literacy. So they're doing this by having actual rings, like, built on the library grounds. And there are guys like, Libre, by the way, means libro means book in Spanish. So Lucha Libre is one of the wrestlers. But this started back in 2024 when two guys attempted to put on a show at a library. One of the guys is Victor von Richter, based on another book that I have no idea what it's called. But yeah, so there's a country tour of like 40 libraries going from New Jersey, California, that are going to have live wrestling matches in order to show kids, hey, my wrestler is based on this book.
Could you imagine if someone did like a shooting star press off of like a
printing press?
I'm about to say, man. That's going to do it. We appreciate everybody joining the program. Matt Verderam, Carlos Lee, the whole gang here this morning. We appreciate your calls as well. Back with you tomorrow on Westwood One Sports Night.
This is Westwood One Sports.